today, I mean, in this moment and also in general, I feel very fulfilled with my life and also with my work. And it's not only the way I work, what I do, but it's mainly how I do it. And there is one thing that has completely changed that was absolutely not there before, which is that I'm much more aware of what is happening inside of me. So like I'm sitting here and I'm aware, okay, you're asking me questions and I need to answer and there is a camera and all of that. And at the same time, I'm also feeling how I am inside, if I'm feeling relaxed or not. So, and that's something that is present in my life right now that was not there before. The capacity to be outside, but also be connected with myself. And that's the capacity that allows me to say no to things that are not good to me, which I didn't have before. It's also the capacity that allows me to enjoy more every single moment. So instead of just going through my life and, there is this, there is that, but staying there and saying, wow, such a beautiful conversation or such a nice coffee or like be thankful for life. And that's, for that kind of coherence between what is happening inside of me and what happens in the outside, I'm extremely thankful. Yes, I said I have spent most of my life until I was in my late 30s living outside, living outside of my body. I didn't know it back then because I never thought about it. I had no people in my life that will talk about these things back then. So for me it was just obvious. I wake up and I start looking at, okay, who needs what from me, what I'm going to do. I do this, I do that. So I was all the time like doing and all the time in the outside. And this very simple question of how I am doing, how am I feeling, it was just not there. It was never there. I don't remember asking myself that question because I was so focused in just living and doing the things and going through the motions of my life. And there was a moment in which I could see that. So there was a moment, I call it my wake-up moment, in which I could see, I was in a workshop setting and we had to talk about our business and present it to other people and talk about our life as well. And back then I thought, my life is amazing. I have my own company, I have 2 kids, I'm married, so it's all perfect. But because it was a very deep workshop and I had also to look inside of me, and I really don't know how it happened, I just know that it happened, that there was that moment where I could see that I had built my life based on the belief that one day it will be better. And that my life actually wasn't as great as I thought today. But it was like very much in the future, like, now I don't have time for my children, now I don't have time for my friends, for myself, to eat healthy, to take care of my body, but one day. And that was a huge moment for me because I could feel that was not healthy, that was not what I wanted in my life. And so I had that sentence being downloaded, so that inside, like one day, thinking, okay, I'm living based on one day, and then the next sentence was, one day you will be dead. And that came also very strongly, like, I'm not gonna wait for that one fucking day. So that's it. I just don't want that. And because I'm a very radical person, next day I went to the office and I fired everyone. So I decided to close the company and started the process of closing down and then reinventing myself and all of that. But that was a very clear one moment for me. So in order to explain what I'm doing today and the business I do today with its focus on the promotion of the feminine and the balance between the masculine and the feminine, and supporting mainly leaders of women leaders to integrate more the feminine in their work. And also I love supporting women who are creating their own businesses and support them in doing it with the feminine qualities as well, so integrating both. And this is a result of my path of my career. So if you would have told me 5 years ago, like, you will end up doing this, I would have said, what? I mean, 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't even know what was the feminine and the masculine. So starting from there. So that really this business I have now, it's a result of my life. So not the professional life, but my life. So because then when I closed my company, there was a very clear cut with my past and everything I had done before. And I didn't want to go back to that. It was very clear, because for me, that kind of professional life that I used to have, where I was I was a consultant, for organizational consultant for different organizations, and I was traveling a lot, and that was just not possible. It was clear to me, if I want to discover who I am and what is good for me and find again that connection to myself, I couldn't do it while I was still working as I was working before. So that's why it was clear to me I have to cut it and start something completely new. So basically what happened is that I started a quite long phase. At the beginning I thought it will only be, a couple of months, but it ended up being a couple of years, during which I worked as little as possible, so just really to maintain myself and my kids and so on. And then I started like doing a lot of workshops and going to, in a very intuitive way, so very natural way. I went a lot to women's circles and retreats where there were only women. And as I said, I didn't know back then that I was looking for the feminine side in me. But later on I could realize, okay, that's why I was so driven to women, which was something that I didn't have before in my life. So what happened little by little was that I started developing more that feminine side inside of me. All the qualities, like, doing nothing. That was so difficult for me. Like just sitting there and doing nothing, or going slow. I was very proud because I was so efficient and I was always very fast. Or just feeling more my emotions instead of only thinking what I'm gonna do next and what is my plan. A huge thing for me was also to let go of control and show myself like vulnerable and ask for help. And during those years I had to ask for a lot of help because it was very difficult. So I learned a lot of, I developed all those feminine qualities that I didn't have before. It was not an option for me to ask for help before, or to say, hey, I don't know how to do this. That was a huge thing. So there were many things like that were just not possible. And I started working on integrating them in my life so that I could have more possibilities. And that's basically what I do today. So then one day I had this insight. I say, hey, my life is working now so well, with a new partnership, with new friends, and I feel new myself as well. So it's a new version of me. And I say, wow, when I want to give this to the other women who are in a similar situation, and I know that I'm not the only one who is suffering, as I was suffering back then, because our society is so masculine and it's putting so much pressure on each of us that there is no space for the feminine, for enjoying, for all of that. So that's what I do now. I share, mainly what I do is that I share the things that work for me. And I love sharing how you can have a business and make money and be successful, integrating the feminine as well. So allowing things to happen, receiving, following your intuition very strongly, always making sure that you are doing well, that people are feeling well, taking care of the relationships, and of course also doing things. It's not that I'm not doing anymore, but it has an extremely different quality. There's something I would like to share with people who are listening to me now, and particularly to women who may resonate with what I said, with this very busy life where there is no space to enjoy and just be happy, or like be a source for someone else, like source of inspiration, or or just being an enjoyable person, right? So for those women who don't have that in their lives and who feel very kind of bitter inside, or like life is hard and it's so difficult and there's so much to get done, I would like to invite them to listen to that inner voice, which is always there. There is always a very tiny inner voice that is telling us, this doesn't make sense. This cannot be it. This is not the life that you really want. And to listen to it and to dare to stop, to hear more that voice. Because there is something very important. If I would have listened to that voice earlier on, I wouldn't have had probably to close my company, or to get divorced, and so many extreme things that I had to do because I was not listening. And whenever my voice, that little tiny voice, will come up and say, Sonia, are you sure you still want to work a couple of hours instead of being with your kids? And because it was there, and then I will always put it aside and do more things so that I will keep myself busy in order not to hear that voice. And that's for me the key to a new life, to start listening to that voice and dare to follow it as well. Because we know what we need to feel fulfilled and be happy and be a real contribution to this world. We know it, and we don't listen to it very often. So that's what comes that I would like to share with those who are listening and feel that something is not quite right, to start listening more to the inner voice. Yeah, even if we don't listen to it, it's amazing. So it has such a persistence, right? So okay, I'm gonna keep repeating this thing even if no one listens, until maybe one day we do listen.